For a long time, I was not comfortable with ghosts, I'd say spirits. I'm exploring more and learning more about the death process, which I now like to share as a rebirth, and learning more about the transition between what happens to a soul that's currently in this life and what happens as it's going to that transition to the spirit world. So I grew up Christian. I went to a Christian school. And then I recall, I think I was in grade 3. I remember I was at the church, and my dad at this time was very into Buddhism. And he made this point: you don't need to go into a particular building to give thanks. God is everywhere. I just remember that. And it really left a big imprint on me. I think at the time I just was like, I don't want to go to mass. And I really rebelled at that for a while. And so I didn't. And then I went through a place where I didn't believe in God for a long time. I didn't really know, like, is there something that happens after you die? I'm not really sure. I went through that space for a long time, just because it wasn't really something that was at the top of my list for exploring. And it wasn't until in a past relationship, my ex-boyfriend's dad was told that he had a certain amount of time to live. Now, I hadn't experienced losing a family member so close to me. So when that happened, I really started to look at, okay, there's got to be something more that happens when you pass away. And I started looking into that, because I wanted to support at the time, my boyfriend, and help through that transition as well. And I also wanted to start learning as well, because it just been something that hadn't come up for me. So I recall finding this episode of Spirit Speakers, because I think I did a search in the podcast, like what happens after you die. There was an episode that was like what happens after you die, and they had a great discussion on it. I highly recommend listening to that. I will put it in the description below. So I listened to that, and I really enjoyed that, and I got a lot out of that. And then I kept listening to more of their episodes, and I remember, I think it's like the second episode I listened to, which happened to be like the Starseed episode. And man, did I get a lot out of that too. And it's actually, I very much credit Spirit Speakers for being a great help on a great source of information along my awakening journey. So anyways, that was the beginning of me looking into that. And then also I've experienced some friends and family members that have passed away. It was like, once I was open to that from a place, like a loving place, then I realized this barrier wasn't there. I started seeing, particularly a family friend, I would notice him every time I was around my mom. And he would show up in such a really beautiful, loving way, and almost like a funny way, like his humor was there. And I did notice him. And I also did notice, if he had come up in conversation, he would just pop up. So it's something also to just for anybody that's lost a loved one. What I keep getting, the messages that I keep getting, and I'm going to be sharing more on this. They're always there. They're always there. And they're there when you think of them. They may be one of your guides. They're always around, and they're there showing you signs. They may come in your dreams. They may not. Say a specific song comes on. You can also do this in a way of like, I would love it if I heard this song because it reminds me of you. A song on the radio or in a store, that's a message. They're there trying to send you a message in some way. Also, I find when you're doing something that brings you joy, it's a lot easier for them to be able to communicate with you as well. Yeah, anyways, that was really kind of the beginnings of, there's like a lot of different things that led me to what I'm doing now, as I've already talked about in the previous video of like me going down Mount Everest and losing what I thought was all important to me. But it was also really starting to be comfortable with different energies. And I'm just finding it so incredible to be able to go down this path to help others and really just shine a light in, I mean, mediumship is one of many tools that I'm doing, but I really think that there's a big light that is ready to be explored, with knowing that in society, we've really just seen, if we lose someone, it's a death and it's a big loss. And in some cultures, it's not necessarily that way. It's like a celebration of life, and really just it's a different, like, depending on where you go, it's looked at very differently. And just in the way that how I am working with my guides now and learning about what I'm learning on the fact that it's not a death, it's a rebirth, and that they're still always there. And just in the way that I've seen with loved ones and friends that have passed on, they are still there, and they're just operating in a different frequency that we may not be able to see. But the more you are open with a loving heart to that there could be something more, that they are there, that they are around you, the more you'll be able to, say, feel them, or you'll be able to get messages from them. And that this will continue to evolve, because our frequencies are rising every single day. And, you know, I never used to be able to see these particular family members clear as day. And now I'm really starting to see them. And I'm also seeing them in a way of like, they're just a lot lighter than, say, they would have been. I'm speaking specifically to me in my experiences, by the way. There's just a lot of joy and love, and they're happy that you can communicate with them, or you can talk to them and they're there, you know? So I'm going to be sharing a bit more on that and what I've been currently learning and navigating when it comes to me and my own personal life, and learning about the transition phase. So yeah, there's my little take on it. Comment below, let me know if you've experienced maybe a similar story and how you've come into knowing what you know, or did you go through a period in your life where you didn't believe in anything after death? I'm curious. Sending you lots of love, and I will see you on the next video.